Late at night, this is the absurdity of the moment. Always the TV stayed on in the great room. You could hear it. But at night, it was Sex in the City that would run all night
yes.
long. Random.
The boys loved watching
The boys
Sex
loved
in the City.
Sex. Oh no, that's just what came on.
FYI, they're watching Sex in the City in
yeah.
prison.
The Spiritual Shitshow Podcast with Suzanne Soul, episode 22. Hello, you fabulous fucking rays of light, and welcome to the Spiritual Shitshow Podcast, where we get into the hot, hot mess the healing and spiritual awakening journey can be. I'm your host, Suzanne Soul, comedian, lifelong spiritual student, and I'm sharing some of the tasty treats I've learned along my healing and spiritual journey that have helped me, and that I hope help you too. Beloveds, I am out of my mind excited because my guest, Tom Bob Nedderman, is a dear, dear friend of mine and a wonderful therapist at that. Tom Bob is a licensed professional counselor in Chicago with a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling and extensive training in addictive and compulsive behaviors. And he is a licensed spiritual practitioner through United Centers for Spiritual Living. But with all that, he says his honorary doctorate from the School of Hard Knocks is what informs his work and helps him hold a compassionate, empathetic, and grounded space for his clients. So I chitty-chatted with my pal Tom Bob about his incredible journey from addiction to incarceration to a life of meaning and purpose. Let me tell you something. I absolutely fucking adore my delightful friend, Tom Bob Nedderman, and I'm honored to share his story with you. And we're off.
Welcome, Tom Bob, to the Spiritual Shit Show, interview shit show.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You are so very welcome. And what a joy it is to share your work and your story with the folks listening.
I got a story.
He's got a story to tell. So, as a psychotherapist, counselor, and coach, some of your clinical interests and areas of expertise seem like really powerful catalysts for healing and especially helping someone become their own person. So I was especially struck by your offering of helping people find their voice and learning to express it from an empowered place that is both meaningful and effective. Can you share more about this work?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I see it all the time. It doesn't matter whether somebody comes in for trauma or anxiety or depression or whatever. I find a common ground is people have trouble exercising their voice. We don't know, and I say we, as in the royal we,
Yes.
or often when I say we, I mean you.
That's right. Without pointing fingers, we.
But we do have trouble distinguishing between our yeses and our nos.
Yes.
We say yes when we really mean no. Right. And that's a lose-lose situation for everybody concerned.
Agreed.
Because you don't really get 100% of me when I say yes when I really mean no.
Right.
And
why do we do this? What are some other reasons?
What are some other reasons why we say yes?
Yeah, what are some of the reasons?
Well, here's what goes through our heads.
Yeah.
I should.
Right.
It would be the right thing.
Right.
I need to. I have to.
Right.
I have no options. I have no choice.
Or,
and that would be the lie.
Right.
We do have choice.
Right. So
we always have choice.
So you're saying I need to, or what will happen? A lot of
people will be mad at me.
Right.
I'll disappoint somebody.
Right.
They'll think ill of me.
And
They
then
won't
what will
like
happen?
me, and you know, all of that kind of stuff.
And then if the people are mad at you or don't like you or whatever, then what happens?
Well, that would be the end of result. Is
right.
People don't like me. People
and then
are,
so they're not going to want to be around me. I'll feel alone.
It's unique to every individual.
Right, sure. Okay.
What it really segues into is boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, finding our voice and is correlates highly with our boundaries.
Right.
Saying yes and saying no. Right. And what we struggle with is if I set a boundary, then first of all, we have to maintain it, and hopefully people will respect it.
Right.
When they don't, when the boundary is violated, there has to be a consequence.
Yeah.
absolutely 100% has to be a consequence.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no point in having the boundary whatsoever.
Yeah.
The consequence can be large or small. That's it. I'm done with you.
Right.
I'm never speaking to you again. Or it could just be, I think next time I'm just not going to go to the party.
Right.
Or whatever it is.
Right. Right.
But the real challenge with boundaries is allowing the other person to have a thought or a feeling about our boundary.
Right.
Feeling disappointed, feeling angry, feeling upset.
So what you're saying is that when we exercise a boundary, we also have to learn to be okay with the other person's reaction.
Yes, okay would
Accept
be,
it.
whether we accept it or okay, it's just, it's fine to be uncomfortable.
Okay. So what you're saying is we just need to know there's going to be a reaction.
Yeah, that they have a feeling about it,
Right.
and they get to have that feeling.
Right.
And we don't have to change it. We don't have to fix it. We don't have to make it go away. We just let them process their feeling however, or if they do.
Right.
But just because they have a feeling doesn't mean we have to change our boundary.
Right. And so how can people, sometimes it brings a lot of fear up when someone's reacting to your boundary. How can you stay in your boundary and kind of soothe your fear?
Well, first thing that comes to mind is practice.
Right.
It's just it's the difference between choosing your discomfort. So, for example, in a dysfunctional relationship, or it's uncomfortable. It's the same shit happening over and over again, as they say in, 12-step meetings, where do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is insanity, right? Well, we're insane.
Right.
I'm not a therapist for nothing. We're all crazy.
I'll never run out of business.
Job security, people. Is that my camera?
Camera A, camera B, camera A.
But what was I saying?
You were just saying that, practice.
I think it's just a matter of practice.
Yeah.
I'm not a quick fix kind of guy when
Yeah.
it comes to the therapeutic process
Right.
or even the spiritual process.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. We've been dealing with these dysfunctions and these traumas and these depressions and anxieties for years and
Right.
years, and it doesn't go away. We have aha moments.
Right.
We pray. We go to therapy. We have something that clicks for us, and that's a lovely thing, but it's still just an idea.
Right.
It doesn't actually begin to change you until you have some kind of a concrete practice of that aha moment.
Right.
And that's when we begin to have an experience of that aha moment, and that's when our lives change.
Right.
So that's practice.
Yes.
And 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
And it's expected. It's just like in 12 steps, they say relapse is a part of it. I agree. It doesn't
Right.
have to be.
Right. But it can be sometimes.
It can be, and more often than not, it is.
So as far as setting a boundary or a healthy pattern in place and saying that it takes practice, is this something that you learned yourself through your own experience?
I was born this way.
I was born perfect, like a
was born
shiny.
with practical boundaries.
I was like, Mother, I've had enough teat. Please put it away. And no means no, Mother.
Don't edit this.
Please don't take this out.
Oh, what was the question? Yeah, of course. It's a learned thing for me. Most of what I do in therapy, I've got my training and my master's degree and
Right.
my LPC and my CRC and all these kind of things, which
Yeah.
is lovely. It
Yeah.
kind of gives me some
Yeah.
credibility,
Right.
but I'll tell you, mostly what I draw from is my own life experience.
Right.
I'm 64 fucking years old.
Motherfuck.
I have been around the block too many times.
Too many times.
And I've got another block to go around later.
That's another episode.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Oh! Do you see Wicked?
No, I gotta see it. Oh my God, don't even.
Anyways.
So I want to get into the story of your journey, but I also just want to start with putting boundaries into practice and going through the messiness of like dealing with people's reactions is an experience that you had of helping you to really solidify your ability to have healthy boundaries.
Yeah, that's practice. It's like I lean in often, and I usually tell my clients to lean in often to the observation mode, where it's like, just you're going to go out and spend the holidays with the family, which can be very triggering for many people, and we're just coming off the holidays.
Yes, right. Perfect time.
And it's like, so your job to go is to, when you get home or to your families, is just to observe.
Yeah.
Just watch, exercise your divine curiosity about how mom and dad and brother and sister and aunt and uncle and mom and grandfather are interacting. And observe yourself. Oh, there I go feeling, my heart's beating, my heart's racing. And your only task is to not do anything about it, to just watch it and observe it. And that observation kind of creates a little bit of space where you can kind of be present. I'm not talking about avoidance or going into denial. I'm talking about just being in observation mode and
noticing.
Yeah, noticing. Yeah. And it's very helpful.
Right.
So, in terms of practice, we go into observation mode and, oh, there I go again. I'm doing the same thing. Yeah. And eventually, oh, I want to do the same thing, but this time I'm not going to.
Right.
You know, or I started out well and then I kind of got sucked in, they got upset and I caved and, you know, and I was trying to find, you know, going back to the boundaries and being comfortable with or uncomfortable with people's reaction. When we set a boundary and say like, no, we often want to give a reason.
Right.
Right?
Explain ourselves.
Explain ourselves.
Yeah.
And who is that reason for?
Right.
It's for the other person.
Right.
And we're looking for the reason that they'll accept.
Right, exactly.
And I'm telling you, the best reason to say no is because you just don't want to.
Right. Yes.
I do a funny little exercise with my clients often,
listening.
and it's the yes-no exercise, where between now and the next appointment, the only time you get to say yes is, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I can't wait.
Full body yes.
Full-bodied yes. If it's less than that, it's a no.
Oh, wow.
If it's I should, it's a no.
Wow.
I need to, it's a no.
Right.
It would be the right thing to do. It's a no.
Right. Those are hard patterns to break.
And then the second thing, part of that exercise is, and when you say no, you don't get to explain it.
Oh, you got a lot of crappy looks from other people.
You don't get to apologize for it. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. You're not sorry.
Right.
It's just like, I'm not available.
I'm not available. Yeah.
Creates a lot of anxiety for folks because
that's right.
Everybody wants an excuse and wants a reason, and really the other person is looking for the reasons that they can refute and talk you out of.
Exactly, right. You know, yes, 100%, and yes. And so it really is, like you're saying, such a practice to do that because the first time someone is like, what?
Yeah.
It's
a spiritual practice.
Yes, amen.
It's a spiritual practice.
100%. And, you know, moving through the fear of it, I think your mind doesn't let you know that eventually maybe you'll feel less afraid 10 times later.
Going back to something earlier, there's the discomfort that we have in our dysfunctional relationships, but it's familiar.
Right.
We're used to it.
Right.
We're used to feeling that yuckiness.
Yeah.
And then there's another discomfort, perhaps it comes with setting a boundary and holding on to it, and that's uncomfortable. One of these discomforts ultimately will become a way forward.
Right.
An expanded way. But it's equally as uncomfortable.
Right.
So I say, if you're going to feel uncomfortable, pick the one that moves you forward.
Right.
Or I could just simply say, choose wisely.
Right. I love that. And choose the one where you're taking care of and loving yourself.
Yeah. And eventually this discomfort over here, that the boundary discomfort, will become familiar and it won't feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And now we're free.
Right, exactly. And I also find that, you know, other people are adjustable. They might him and haw the first 5-10 times, but then they'll just adjust,
Eventually they get it.
you know?
And it's incumbent upon us
Right.
as individuals to maintain our boundary. Now, going back to the consequence, when someone violates it, there has to be that consequence.
Right.
It's like, I'm sorry, I can't hang out with you
Right.
anymore. It doesn't have to be that extreme. It could be, I don't know. You've got to figure out what the consequences. Maybe I just don't talk on the phone because you always cut me off and hang up on me. Okay.
Right.
There are some boundaries that need to be announced, and some boundaries you just have.
Right.
If you keep doing such and such, then that's it. I'm going to cut you off, or this is what's going to happen. Okay,
Yeah.
kind of a more of a fear-based
Right,
boundary.
right.
I don't mean it doesn't need to be fear-based. It's just, this is the limits.
Right.
Then there are some boundaries that we just have. For example, my mom kept calling me at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's like, how many times have I asked you not to call me at 6 o'clock in the morning? And it's like, well, honey, it's the only time I can reach you. It's like, well, that's because I'm in bed asleep. And I finally discovered I don't have to answer the phone.
Right.
It's a boundary.
Right. I can call her when I'm
And
available.
I don't even have to tell her I'm not going to answer
Correct.
the phone. Eureka!
Oh my goodness. And then she does the math and goes, 6 o'clock isn't
Yeah,
the best time
he doesn't
to call
answer
him.
the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are, being with yourself in those moments are very scary. And I also wanted to say, so we're not perfect. And so many times, one of my biggest problems is when I have set a boundary for myself, a healthy boundary where I'm wanting to take care of myself better, and then I screw it up and I get sucked into the other person's stuff. I have a hard time forgiving myself,
Yeah.
So what are some things that you offer your clients if they are in that similar?
You get to start over.
Start over.
You get to start over as many times during the day as you need to.
Right.
Until you don't need to start over.
Right.
That's the way it works. That's the practice.
Yeah.
That is the spiritual practice.
Right.
Just doing it and starting over and cutting yourself some slack and
Every day you are born again.
Yeah.
Every moment, every second you are born again.
my favorite guy, Rumi, the Persian poet,
Yes.
the 13th century Sufi mystic, says, one of my favorite quotes about him is out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. And so that is it's a constant invitation. Let's get out of I did it wrong or I did it right. Let's just be in this field. That wrongness and rightness doesn't happen. There's just an isness to it that's happening.
Right. I've heard that before because I know it is one of your faves.
Mm-hmm.
And I just caught the recognition that it is really about being in the present moment.
Yeah.
Because in the present moment, there's only right now and there's nothing to judge.
That's right. The isness. I think that in terms of even higher power or God or whatever name one may call it, good orderly direction, there's an isness to it. There's not a right or wrong or a good or bad. It's just is.
Right.
When Moses goes to the field and wanders around for 40 days and 40 nights, everybody wanders for 40 days and 40 nights. I'm not sure what that...
Maybe that's the process
If there's
time.
some
That's
kind
when
of
you're
a...
cooked.
Yeah. The turkey baster, it's like, yeah, it's been 40 days.
He's
We're
ready.
good to go. And he comes across that burning bush, and then I guess there's a voice coming out of the bush, and it's the voice of God, and Moses is like, oh my God, what's happening
that
here?
I am.
Yeah, and who are you? And the voice says, I am that I am.
Yes.
Or it could be, I am that, comma, I am.
Right.
I don't know which way. What the emphasis is,
Yeah.
but it suggests that there's just an isness to this being, this entity, this spirit.
Yeah.
There's not a good to it.
Yeah.
There's not a bad to it.
Right.
There just is.
Yeah.
And we love to assign all these nice, God is love, God is peace, God is hope, and perhaps God is all of those things.
Right.
But it's also anger
Right.
and bitter
Right.
and depressed and all those kind of, it's a full range.
Yes.
And God is all of that.
Right.
It's not just the
Right.
good flowery sunshine and roses
Yeah.
part. It's the whole thing.
Everything is a manifestation
Absolutely.
of the
When we
one source.
go to a movie,
Right.
You know, we love the whole adventure. And is the guy going to catch the girl or the guy going to catch the guy? It's got to be honest about it. You know, is the crook going to get caught? You know, we love that whole what's going to happen, and then
Right.
it gets settled, and then
Tension and release.
tension and release, denouement.
Yes, we love that.
And that's what that's our nature,
Yes.
to embrace
Right.
and love and be inspired and passionate about that.
It's like the circle of life, the
Yeah.
cycle of life. Things have to die to become, you know, become like in evolution. Certain animals
Sure.
have to die so that other animals can evolve that are adapted, you know.
So if we are, as Genesis says, made in the likeness, and you know, we like to say in his image, but if you
Right.
go into the word, it says its image.
Yes, correct. I don't
Not
believe
he
there
or
is a
she.
gender
It
to
says its image.
the Almighty.
And I think it does say male and female. Well, you
Yes.
may have some more options nowadays.
Right, exactly.
But if we are created in its image, then it suggests to me that this thing called God is the full experience of all the things
of
that
it.
we experience on this level.
Yes. Yes. I mean, there are many spiritual teachers who have that same philosophy of,
Yeah.
you know, we must say yes
Yeah.
to everything that is happening.
That's how I see the whole thing, you know, of God. It's one big fat yes
Yes.
to everything.
Yeah, right.
And you know, in terms of prayer, growing up in a more Christian household, you know, it was kind of the football game. You know, both teams are praying for the win.
Right.
How does God decide who's going to win?
Right.
Does he depend on the coin toss, and whoever gets heads is going to win the game? You know, I don't even believe in that kind of prayer. I think
Right.
it's, quite frankly, ridiculous.
Right, right.
What I do believe is that this thing that courses through all of life is that yes energy.
I love that. Correct.
And
I believe
it
the
says
same.
yes.
Right.
And here's where I come in, because I am the creator
Yeah.
of my experience.
Right.
It says yes, it follows me,
Right.
not the other way around.
Right.
It
It's
says
affirmative.
yes to whatever I say yes
Right,
to.
right.
And if you're not sure what you're saying yes to, look around at your environment.
And you'll go,
Oh, that's what I'm saying yes
Oh, wow, that's
to.
powerful.
Yeah.
Woo.
And if you're saying, you know, and then we, you know, get caught up in, I need more money, I need
Oh,
edit that out.
yes.
Need more money, I need a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a spouse, a better job, you know, and I've been saying yes to this good. Okay, I believe that. But it hasn't manifested. That's because there's something still occurring in you and that blocks it.
Yes.
And don't be surprised if when you pray or ask or set an intention for your good, that shit starts to hit the fan.
Yes.
Because anything that is not in alignment with that has to come. It's
getting cleared away.
Come up.
Yeah.
To be forgiven,
Right.
let go of, process, just self-talk. You know what? I'm saying yes to my greater good, and this doesn't match that.
yeah.
So I'm going to let that go.
Yes, I notice that so much when I say yes to like doing this podcast, you know. I felt like I was put through such a rigorous growing environment where I had to deal with technology and deal with myself and and it did. It 100, the experience of the struggle of getting this going prepared me to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Same thing for me as a therapist.
Right. So before you get into that, I want to say you hold a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling from Northeastern Illinois University, a certification as a certified rehabilitation counselor, an Illinois licensed professional counselor, extensive training in addictive and compulsive behaviors through addiction studies program at Harold Washington College. You are a licensed spiritual practitioner through United Centers of Spiritual Living. But all of that said, My life experience and perhaps my honorary doctorate from the School of Hard Knocks is what truly informs how I utilize my education and training. It's what enables me to hold a therapeutic space that is compassionate, empathetic, and grounded. Tell us more about that shit show.
That's all me.
That's all you, darling.
I'm amazing.
He's wonderful. So tell us about your journey that...
Yeah. Okay. So all of the credentials, that's the training thing. That's the one thing out there that makes me credible.
Right.
To folks out there.
Share where you came
But what
from.
makes me a great therapist and counselor or coach is my my shit show of a life.
That's right.
And I don't actually. I have no shame or embarrassment about it. It's this is the woo woo thing of things, and I never poo poo the woo woo.
Remember that, kids.
So
Never poo
poo-poo
poo
the
a woo
woo-woo.
woo. Love.
You know, as a little gay boy trying to come to some resolve about that, not knowing that I needed to be resolved about it until they told me I was going to go to hell in the Christian church that I grew up in, where they were singing and praising the baby Jesus and dancing in the aisles and casting out demons and tried
Like you do.
like one does.
Like one does.
Homosexual, you come on out of there right now in the name of Jesus, as if it's like a person sitting right there.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I came out.
Yes. Here I am.
Here I am. Wow. But, you know, that I've always had this real hunger for God, as in King David, a man after God's own heart.
Right.
And when I was in, I think, 5th or 6th grade, I used to wake up in the middle of the night and go out into my grandma's backyard. That's where I was living at the time. And look for God.
Yeah.
And prayed, please show me yourself. And I kept thinking that at the time he would come out from under the big willow tree and just embrace me.
Oh.
And it never did. And it was heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And created a real chasm between me and what this thing inside, as my friend Linda Jackson says, presses up against me from the inside and thinks our thoughts, breathes our breath. And it put me on this quest for finding that satisfaction, that fulfillment. And I went astray, as all we like sheep have gone astray. I'm quoting that Bible a lot.
Oh,
it's actually really relevant.
There's a lot of really good stuff
There's
in there.
some good stuff in there, but all we like sheep have gone astray, and I got into some drugs and some alcohol.
Yep.
And
what caused you to turn to drugs and alcohol? Was it...
Well, trying to fill myself up.
Yeah.
You know, numb out to the pain.
Right.
Feel better. I mean, we drink and drug because we have a good day, because we have a bad day, because we are annoyed, because we're successful, because we're not successful, because it's Tuesday afternoon at 3:00.
Right. And it's like a false sense of connection or false sense of...
Well, it's a chemically induced sense of well-being.
Right.
That once the chemical wears off, we're back to feeling empty and not well.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, ultimately what happens is it makes not well even more not well.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Turns your life upside down.
Yeah, it sure did. And it turned my life upside down. I went to jail.
Yep.
Because I was homeless for a minute there.
Yeah.
By homeless, if you're sleeping on somebody else's, a friend's couch, you're homeless.
Yes, sure.
That's not your home.
Right.
That's theirs.
Right.
And I've slept on many couches. Yeah. I've slept under bridges on a cardboard box. It's like, oh, this is a nice box, and it's like covered. And there's
I like what you've done with your box.
I love what you've done with that box. You know, normally corrugated paper isn't my thing, but you know,
you really made it work.
You did. Welcome, AD. Architectural Digest.
Oh, very good.
They do that.
I didn't know that's
Welcome,
what it
AD. They come in and do the tour.
That's right. That's right.
At any rate, and it took me down some dark roads where I just had to get one more of whatever it was, and I was sleeping on my friend's couch, and I crawled out their living room window across the balcony into the neighbor's place to steal something. I needed to find some money or something, and so I could get one more. And I didn't find any money, but I found some checks, and I went to one of those little 24-hour check cashing places, and his name was, what was it, Brent something, I don't know. He's probably about 5'7". I'm 6'1". He's blonde hair and blue eyed, all these kind of things. And the person says, because I had his ID and the check, and I go, "This isn't you." "Well, yes, it is." "No, it's not." "Yes, it is." And the next thing you know, the police are coming in and tackling me to the ground, and I spent a year in Cook County Jail, and then was they don't call it parole, probated out to halfway house with a bunch of ex-cons, and spent another year there, and still continued to relapse after that. But what turned it for me was I was just tired.
Yeah, sick and tired of being sick and tired. What was your experience in Cook County Jail?
Well, I just kept if you can imagine, I kept a low profile.
I kept my personality on a dimmer.
No one puts baby in that corner, but no.
Yeah.
I really had to just keep a low profile.
Right.
I was pretty much in shock. I can't say that I was crying.
The whole time you were like,
I think I was just kind of,
I can't believe I'm here.
I'm just in shock.
Yeah.
And
How did all my steps got me here?
Well,
yeah.
This is going back to that field in jail. Whew, I haven't recalled this in a long time.
Love you, honey.
In jail is where I learned to meditate. Wasn't much else to do.
Yeah.
And I sat there in my bottom bunk for day after day, night after night, like for hours and hours at a time, just meditating. Just breathing a lot, just exhale the bad, inhale the good, out with the broken, inhale the healing.
So you called deep on your own personal courage.
I sure did.
To get
And I don't know
through.
where it came from other than we're created in the likeness of this being. And so it was already within me. Yeah. No one had to actually come and teach it to me or tell me. Yeah. I just had to access what has always been there and continues to be there. Some days I know it. Many days I don't, And I guess that's kind of, I've said to many a client, it's like, I don't see you or any of my clients as broken or ridden with anxiety or any of that stuff. I hold a vision for you that you are whole, and we've heard this
Whole, perfect, and
phrase, whole, perfect, and complete.
Yeah.
And I believe that about you. And my job right now is just to hold that vision for you until you can catch it for yourself. Right. And to help you find that in yourself. And all these broken pieces and things that ail you, we must embrace it.
Right.
We don't deny it. We don't try to make it go away. Right. We just love it up.
So what I'm hearing is the experience that you had of really having to be in your own presence as you're healing and strength to move through your experience that was so incredible for you in that, wow, I'm here and I have to call deep upon the strength in my inner being to move through this.
100%. I could look out that little cubby hole in my cell and I could see joy. I could see happiness. People are laughing, playing cards. Maury Povich is playing in the background. You are not the father. And the entire place, wow, yeah, fucking bitch. That whole thing. And
Oh
while
my
it may be
God.
a strange thing of happiness and laughter, but that's what it was.
Yes, just the absurdity of the moment.
Yeah, and then late at night, this is the absurdity of the moment. Always the TV stayed on in the great room, you could hear it. But at night, it was Sex in the City that would run all night long.
Yes.
Random.
The boys loved
The
watching
boys
Sex
loved
in the City.
Sex. I don't know. That's just what came on.
FYI, they're watching Sex in the City in
yeah.
prison.
So true.
It's their fave.
Yeah.
I love that.
Funny. I think it's the fashion.
Yeah, no, I mean, so,
We had these tan jumpsuits that just were not a good color on anyone.
Oh, well. Orange.
So, and speaking of practice, going back to that concept, even after I got out of jail, I smoked and acted out again.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and
wow. Mm-hmm.
And at some point I just and I was going to some meetings and I don't know, I just stopped.
Yeah. It feels like it all leads up to that. And it might not happen in that moment where you're like, he's out. Of course, he's never going to touch again. Mm-hmm. But then you pick up.
Oh, yeah.
But that whole experience did do the, create the environment in which you wanted to stop. It just doesn't happen right away.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a quick fix kind of guy.
Right.
And
Amen.
I don't believe in them. And I think it's a real setup for failure to think I'm going to, knock it all out of the park and now I'm done. And then when you do have that slip, that
relapse,
reoccurrence, notice I'm not even using the word failure.
Right.
A reoccurrence of some familiar behaviors. Yeah. We feel shame, which is at the heart of any kind of addiction or compulsive behavior or anything. It's a shame cycle.
Right. And I relate to that so much because, like I was sharing, when I really want to improve my life experience and there's something I know I'm doing that is causing my own suffering, and then I do it again, just the work to stop beating myself up for making mistakes. It's like, let me take another few steps back because I got to actually work on this part before I can work on this part so I can make the mistakes and keep going.
Well, this goes back to the whole, which pain are you going to choose? Which discomfort are you going to choose? Choose wisely. And we often choose the familiar. Yeah. The relapsing behaviors, the using again, the drinking again, the whatever it is that and it's not limited to, mood or mind altering substances. We choose the path of anxiety. We choose the path of all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And the scarier path is, or the equally as scary path, is to not choose that. And so how do I this time choose in terms of like anxiety? I'm catastrophizing something that may or may not and has not happened.
Right.
Am I willing to choose maybe it won't happen?
Right.
Is that a possibility? And I do it like a little exercise. Here's the catastrophic behavior, the worst that could happen.
Right.
Okay, let's go to the other extreme. The winning lottery ticket that saves all and changes my life forever.
Right, and nothing's terrible ever again.
Yeah, and wow. Okay, neither one of these are going to happen. Can we bring it in just a little bit?
Right.
Well, maybe it won't be so catastrophic. It might be miserable.
Right.
And maybe I'll just have enough money to be able to pay my bills.
Right.
And then maybe I won't be miserable. Maybe I'll get through that.
Right.
And I'm actually on solid footing here.
Right.
And what's the most reasonable, logical, predictable thing that's going to happen is probably the thing that lands in the middle.
Right.
And I think that's just it. There's a correlation between the good and the bad, the field where there's none of that.
Right.
There's just
every day.
There's just every day.
Yeah,
there's
every
just
day.
What's happening in
it's
this
like
moment.
In one day, you could have a thrilling moment, a terrible moment.
Yeah, if you won the lottery right this second, you'd be hallelujah.
And then a week later,
I'm so sorry. I actually got one of those numbers wrong.
And then
you didn't. My life is screwed.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so there's a gamut of emotions. Rumi, you can pull it up if you want, but there's a one of his poems, The Guest House.
Oh, yes. Fabulous.
Welcome the all. Invite them in. The mean,
the anger,
the
sadness,
the bitter thought. All have been sent as a guide from beyond that may be taking you somewhere new.
I mean, and can you imagine, getting to a place where when sadness comes, you welcome it and say it's okay. And when anger comes, you welcome it and say it's okay. And I think when we do that, like you're saying, we don't feel like we need to take action on it. Or maybe, like you're saying, we could be the noticer.
Yeah. The observer, right. Exactly.
I'm feeling this anger. I'm not making it wrong. I'm inviting it in. It's a feeling that I'm naturally having.
Yes.
And I can just be with it.
Yeah.
And not try to, change the world because I'm feeling angry.
I've actually had a bit of an epiphany just now talking to you.
Okay.
And that was the idea of in jail and tapping into something that was always there, not because I learned it in church. It's just because I am created in that. It's like, it's just there. It emerges when we need it to emerge.
Right. It's like we innately know where to
yeah,
go.
Absolutely.
Our inner...
That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
And we have limited amount of time. We'll have a second interview.
That's right, part 2. Tom Bob, part 2.
Part 2, part 2. I can just point to so many instances that contribute to who I am and where I am and what I'm doing today. I think you said a second ago, it's like, that led you to this place.
Yeah.
And this place is not the end.
Right.
Right? It's
part of the journey.
It's just where I am today,
right, right.
And there's some strange serendipitous maybe. I don't believe in magic. I don't think it's magic. It's just kind of being in the flow.
Yeah. Life is incredible if we let it flow through us.
There are some things that I haven't been able to figure out for myself in terms of love and romantic and partnerships. I've not done too well in that. Sometimes my finances are the best they've ever been in life.
Yeah, wonderful.
But I'd like them to be better, and I haven't quite figured out how to.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I know it's possible.
Right.
I hope it's possible before I die. I'm 44.
He's
24.
29 years old.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's like we're never going to be perfect. My grandmother says all the perfect people are in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And we're always just going to keep growing and learning and, getting to that place where we are in that present moment where there's no right or wrong, whether we have this relationship or this amount of money, that's the goal. The goal is to live in that field where there's nothing right and nothing wrong about what's happening for us.
It is the place to be.
Yeah.
And the way to get there, another Rumi quote, is that, I just love this, and I use it all the time with my clients that are crying or in pain. And what do? I said, you lean into it.
Yeah.
Rumi says that the answer to the pain is in the pain. And that the wound is the place where the light enters you.
That's right.
And so if we go to that space and allow it to have its way, grieve, cry, kvetch, moan from our bowels,
accept it.
And accept it, that it's not wrong.
Right.
It's just what is.
Yeah.
And that's our path to that field.
Beautiful.
You can't avoid it.
You can't.
All of the great paths, spiritual paths, 12 steps, say the only way out is through.
That's right. That's right. Winston Churchill, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah. Never give up.
That's
never
right.
give up.
Just keep
never
moving
give up.
through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Bob, I love you so much. Oh my gosh. What a wonderful, wonderful talk we've had. I mean, I'm going to be absorbing everything you've shared for the next 4 days, I think.
Just 4 days.
Okay, a week.
I think the maximum.
Okay, 2 weeks.
40 days and 40
40
nights.
days and 40 nights. And please share. Do you offer any? So I know you are yes. Sit back up. You're
Edit this part out.
Yes, as a psychotherapist in Chicago, people can find you at.
I'm at, where am I at? Andersonville Mindfulness and Psychology. You can just go to andersonville.com.
Andersonville.com.
And that's the website.
And you will find him.
You'll see all of us on there. And we all infuse mindfulness practices and meditation into the process.
Wonderful. And are you able to offer anything for people outside of Chicago, or?
I do. I actually do.
And virtually?
I do. Currently, I work only virtually ever since the pandemic.
Yes.
But yeah, I do coaching.
Yeah.
Coaching is just my go around for the places where I'm not a licensed therapist.
Right.
I basically do the same thing. But, yeah, I have a number of coaching clients, a couple in New York, New Mexico, one in Colorado.
And would they go to the Andersonville.com for that as well?
They would just, they would need to go, how do they find me?
Your email?
Yeah, you could, my email. You can email me at tnedderman@andersonville.com, and I'll, email me if you want to do the coaching thing.
Right.
If you want therapy, just go to the website andersonville.com
and go through
and
their
they'll
booking
hook you. Their
process.
intake person will help you with
Perfect.
That.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so very much. I adore you. I adore you.
A couple months ago.
You got what?
A scar. I had shoulder.
Oh my goodness, great.
Sexy scar.
He's so tough.
Yeah.
You're so butch.
Yeah, I'm gay. I'm not straight.
Straight as that scar. I love you so much, and thank you for sharing your shit show and your journey and the incredible work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you ever want a round two,